What's up again, everybody? Today we're going to talk about what is perhaps the most confusing topic and I guess card type in the game of Flesh and Blood. It's the thing I see most often questioned or sort of asked how it works and how you go about actually using these cards. Today we're going to talk about defense reactions. We will talk about what defense reactions are, how they differ from other card types within the game, how you go about actually playing them, and when you can play them. Hopefully by the end of this video you'll have a better understanding of how to play defense reactions, and honestly, once you get this, I feel like the rest of the game is very easy and kind of falls into place. If by the end of the video you find some information in this that helps you, or if you just enjoy watching the video as we go along, feel free to hit a like or a subscribe on the YouTube channel. Liking the video will help push this out to more people so more people can find out how the game works, and hitting the subscribe helps us get closer to the 3,000 subscribers goal. Alright, so to understand how defense reactions work, it's important to understand just the card types within the game of Flesh and Blood themselves. There's lots of different card types within the game. You know, there's heroes, equipment, there's weapons. Those are all sort of persistent. They're out in the battlefield once the game begins. And then there's things that you put into your deck. There's action cards, there's attack action cards, which is sort of like a subtype. There's instance, there's attack reaction cards, and then there's defense reaction cards. And defense reaction cards are different fundamentally from many of those that I've already mentioned before this, and it's important to understand that. So most cards in the game of Flesh and Blood can be used in a variety of different ways, right? You can play them by paying their cost in the top right and then doing what the card text says. You can pitch them to the little pitch zone so you can gain some resources paying the cost for other cards. You can defend with them in the bottom right by putting them down during the assigning defense portion of the attack step. If it's an attack, you can attack with it in the bottom left, of course. And just about every card in the game can do, if not all of these, most of these. Defense reactions are similar in some ways, but different in others. So defense reactions can be pitched, obviously, to generate resources. I'm pretty sure just about every card in the game can be pitched, minus the ones that don't have a pitch value. You can't attack with defense reactions, of course, because there is no attack in the bottom left, but you do see in the bottom right a defense value, and that may lead you to believe that you can play this as a sort of a defending card from your hand during that defense step. And that's a very logical, kind of easy step to take in understanding how this, defense reaction works. That's the first thing you would think you'd be able to do, but you actually cannot do that. So defense reactions cannot be played during the assigning defending cards portion of the attack step. They can't be played during that, like normal cards, like other cards can. Attack action cards can be played from hand to defend an attack from your opponent. Attack reactions have a defense value there in the bottom right as well. Just normal action cards have a defense value, but defense reactions are unique from all those that I previously mentioned. Defense reactions can only be played in the defense reaction portion of the attack step. And of course, to understand that, it's important to look at the attack step itself so you know when this actually occurs. So the way a combat chain sort of resolves itself begins with the attack step, and this is where the turn player plays like an action card with the attack subtype, or attacks with a weapon, something like that. At this point, it then moves to the defending player's priority, if you will, where the defending player can defend with any number of non-defense reaction cards from their hand. Of course, you could also defend with your equipment here if your equipment has any defense values there as well. From this point, we move to the reaction step, and the reaction step is where both attack reactions and defense reactions can be played. The turn player, the one that's attacking, can play attack reactions first, at which point either they play them or they don't. They always pass priority over to the defending player, and that is when you can use defense reactions. So again, you can't actually play defense reactions during that defending step. You can only play them in the reaction step once priority has been passed to you. Now, you always have the opportunity to play these because the opponent has to pass priority at least once to you. If you pass and don't play any defense reactions and they pass class as well, then we move to the damage calculation step. But you always have an opportunity to play a defense reaction if you wish. Now, how do you actually go about playing a defense reaction? That's the next thing we have to kind of wrap our heads around. Because normally when you're defending with a card from hand in the defend step, you don't have to pay for anything. You just put that card from your hand down onto the combat chain, onto this chain link, and it blocks for that much when we calculate damage. Defense reactions, however, are different. In order to defend with a defense reaction, in that reaction step, you actually have to pay for these cards. So the cost of a defense reaction is in the top right, and how much it defends for is in the bottom right. And you may go, well, why do we have to pay for these cards? Is this just strictly worse than just blocking with a card from hand? And the answer is no. Most often, defense reaction cards will defend for more value than any other type of card in the game. If you're looking at generic attacks or generic cards in general, action cards, instance, they usually defend for around 2, sometimes 3, but mostly 2. If you're looking at class cards, they usually defend for 3. Sometimes 2, depending on what class you're playing, but most of the time 3. Defense reaction cards are the only types of cards that can defend for 4 or more. So if you're playing against a class that's looking to deal massive amounts of damage in one swing, defense reactions are your only clean way of blocking, 5, 6, 7 damage, even just larger chunks than that. Defense reactions also have the added benefit of getting to use the text that's on the card when you pay to play them. So if there's a beneficial text on the card, on the defense reaction, you will get that text when you pay it and play it out there. Sometimes that helps with future defenses, sometimes it helps fix your hand, but in general, it's pretty good. So with that larger defense value comes the cost that you have to pay in the top right. So with all of this understood, let's summarize. Defense reaction cards are a subtype of card in the game that has to be paid for when you defend, that can't be played in the defense step, but can only be played in the reaction step. They oftentimes defend for a value of 4 or greater, though you do sometimes run, the occasional 2 or 3 defense reaction, depending on the class. But the extra defense here comes with the drawback that you actually have to pay for the card when you play it. You can't just play this down for the defense value during the defend step. Now let's quickly go through and talk about some of the most popular or most powerful defense reactions that you'll find other people playing. And the first one we need to talk about is Sink Below. This is perhaps the most powerful or most played defense reaction in the entire game. If you look at the top right, it costs nothing to play Sink Below. If you're running the red version, it costs nothing to play Sink Below, and it defends for 4. Defending for 4 is a very good number because you can defend with a card from hand for 3, and then you can use a defense reaction Sink Below to defend with an additional 4, and that covers up just a lot of damage. Covering 7 damage really covers the range of things that your opponent can do against you. So, Sink Below by itself can block 4, which is very good against a single attack, or if your opponent is looking to do attack reaction-y stuff, or just push a big ol' attack, you can drop a card from your hand and you can use Sink Below to combine for a total of 7 defense. Sink Below also has a beneficial effect to help you kind of swap out a card from your hand and hopefully draw into another card. Cycling through your deck in any trading card game is very good, and Sink Below allows you to do that. Most often you're going to see people run the red version of this. Yellow and blue are not often run just because they defend like a normal card would, like a 3 defense or a 2 defense card would. So most of the time we run 2 or 3 copies, depending on your format, of the red Sink Below. Fate Foreseen is also very similar to this in that you're defending for 4 and you're paying nothing in the top right. It's a very, very strong card as well. This one allows you to opt and cycle through your deck in a slightly different way. Opt is a very good mechanic for specific classes that want to know what's on top of their deck so that they can take advantage of that information. Springboard Somersault is sometimes used within decks because you can both pitch it for 2, which is pretty decent, and if you put it in the arsenal, it defends for 4 as well. Otherwise, it defends for 2. I'm not as big a fan of Springboard Somersault, but it is used fairly regularly in the Blitz format. And the other generic defense reaction we should discuss is Unmovable. Unmovable cost 3 to play, which is very expensive, but it can defend for an insane amount of damage. Putting an Unmovable in your arsenal and then pitching a blue card on your opponent's big swing turn and just blocking all of that damage is an incredibly powerful swing of tempo, and so this is often played in the red version. You don't really see it played in yellow. Sometimes you see the blue version so that you can pitch the blue to go for the red, because obviously the 3 resources pitched from the blue can pay for the red defense reaction. So that's the quick and dirty on defense reactions. That's how they work, that's when you can play them, that's how you can play them. I hope you found this interesting or enlightening, or perhaps even entertaining. Also, if there's anything that I missed, please let me know down in a comment below, or if you have a specific card type or subject within the game that you'd like to learn a little bit more about, let me know that in a comment below as well. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.